Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome again to another Transition 30 Extra call. Uh, my name is Todd Nelson. I am the host here and joined, of course, as always, with our co-host Keith Cassant, and really looking forward to today. If you're familiar at all with our Transition 30 calls, you know that Dave Shantz is a top-notch guru when it comes to SKILLBRIDGE, and he is constantly under the gun to try to get everything that he knows in 5 minutes, and it can't possibly be done. So this extra episode I've really been looking forward to, because Dave will still be at maybe 1.5 times speed, but maybe we can slow it down a little bit, so because there is so much information on SKILLBRIDGE. But Dave Shantz, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks for having me, and good to see you too, Keith.
Well, it's always great to be on the same call with you fine gentlemen. So Dave, real quick before I'm going to turn it over to Keith and just have a couple of questions, but tell me a little bit about your background and how did you get into the whole SKILLBRIDGE arena?
Sure. Yeah. So I heard about SKILLBRIDGE in 2019. At that time, the program from a DoD standpoint was about 5 years old. My commanding officer allowed me to go participate in SKILLBRIDGE, and so I took an opportunity with General Dynamics Information Technology, GDIT. They're a subsidiary of General Dynamics, and I did a SKILLBRIDGE with them. Loved every minute of it. Never stopped talking about it. Ended up getting hired on. Loved it. Spent about a year in my role. Continued to help service members, figure out and navigate the SKILLBRIDGE program. And actually, I was fortunate enough to meet some key folks within the SKILLBRIDGE program, and then also the DoD SKILLBRIDGE Community of Practice LinkedIn group. That group was created in June of 2019, and the founder of the group needed to step away, and asked me to take it over. And so in August or September of 2019, I took it over. At that time, we had about 85 members, and I've grown the group to right now, I think we're over 37,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So really hitting the pavement. I like to insert myself into other people's posts and comments when they're talking about SKILLBRIDGE, and just kind of help them along the way. So anyway, with GDIT, I was still doing SKILLBRIDGE on the side. I wasn't doing SKILLBRIDGE with GDIT. And then after about a year, they saw what I was doing, and they created a new position for me, and they ended up hiring me to lead their SKILLBRIDGE program, and I did so for 2 years. The first year that I did it, I about 5x the program. I took them from 8 to 41 service members in 1 year. And then in 2022, I went from 41 to 83. So in 2 years,
Wow.
I about 10x the program. And so this is what I do. This is what I love. A lot of people talk about finding your passion, and I know some things that I like, and I never knew that there was something that I could be passionate about, or that I would find something I was going to be passionate about. But really fortunate. This is what I do morning, noon, and night: help service members and help companies.
That's awesome. And so, are we going to be able to post like a link to that LinkedIn group, where people can find that if they want interested in joining?
Absolutely. Let me get you that link right now, and I'll put in the chat.
Yeah, perfect. Keith, with your background, coming out, I think it was 2017, transitioning, obviously, sounds like this was before, or right as SKILLBRIDGE was starting. So what's some questions that you've had or you've heard from other folks on the SKILLBRIDGE program?
Sure, yeah, no, thanks, Todd. And 2019 is when you retired. It's all good. So,
There
yeah,
we
no
go.
worries. But yeah, don't give me that much. I know I got all the great, but so I mean, I've talked with Dave a lot, and he's even helped me with my agency SKILLBRIDGE program. So I know the man is such a wealth of knowledge. It was a program I didn't leverage when I got out. Kind of wish I had, or had heard more about it and all that. So, but really, at the risk of just taking off the reins and letting him go, I'd love to just let him tell us, just Dave, if you could just what do you want the service members to know about SkillBridge. And then I'll hopefully have some time to maybe do some more drilling down questions from there.
Oh, man. Okay, so first and foremost, SkillBridge, in my opinion, is the best transitioning program that a service member can participate in. There are a lot of programs out there to help service members transition successfully. I just think the benefits of SkillBridge and the way it's conducted outshine, all the other programs that there are. And I'm not saying not to participate in those other programs, but if you had to choose, whether it be bandwidth, time, money, whatever the case may be, I would select SkillBridge. SkillBridge is.
And so Dave, let me interject, because it's amazing how many people don't even know the other programs. What are some of the other programs that may be on par with SkillBridge? Would it be like a Hiring Our Heroes, or what would be kind of the programs that might be similar?
So Hiring Our Heroes is a third-party vendor of SkillBridge. So it's not
Gotcha.
separate.
Okay.
It's not SkillBridge and then Hiring Our Heroes. Hiring Our Heroes, there's only SkillBridge, and then Hiring Our Heroes is an approved third-party vendor to participate in SkillBridge.
Gotcha. Okay.
There is some other, every branch has their own cool program. What is cool is like credentialing, online opportunities and learning, something like that, right? Navy cool, Marine Corps cool. Each branch runs their program differently. Some of them allow you to take cool courses all the way up to you separate or retire from the military. Some of them you have to, be done, and still have 6 months or 8 months left on your time. You put me on the spot. I should know some of these other programs, but honestly, I just focus on SkillBridge. So I apologize for not coming up with other programs off the top of my head, but man, you gave me some homework. If I'm going to say SkillBridge is better, I got to know what I'm saying it's better about or better than. So thank you. I gotta check myself on that.
Absolutely. But we digress. So
SkillBridge. So SkillBridge is not an entitlement. The DoD allows each branch a certain bit of autonomy to run their SkillBridge program how they see fit. So the Army program is different from the Navy program in the way it's executed. I see a lot of service members on social media saying, "Oh, I'll just go do SkillBridge," or people, they get upset when their commanding officer doesn't allow them to participate, or they grant them permission for a shorter duration of time. It's a luxury. It's not a right. The military still needs to be a military. Every commanding officer is still responsible for a certain level of readiness that they have to maintain within their organization. So service members, please go into this with the understanding that it's a gift. If you're granted the opportunity to participate in SkillBridge, it's not a guarantee. What else?
Well, while you're thinking, if you don't mind, so do you have any tips or ideas that service members might be able to massage, for lack of a better term, their commands to increase their chances of maybe either just getting awarded the program at all, or maybe being afforded the full time allotted by their service?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good question. So they should engage their chain of command early. Don't wait until you have to file the paperwork, and the first time your commanding officer is hearing about this is when they see the paperwork on their desk. I think that'll catch COs off guard. And while SkillBridge is becoming more and more of a household name, and it's few and far between the number of commanding officers who haven't heard of SkillBridge and know what it's for, I still wouldn't blindside my commanding officer. So letting your chain of command know that that's something that you would like to pursue in the future, and then getting some feedback early on as to what the command's policy is, what is it going to take for them to approve you, so that way the service member can start massaging those wickets, right, hitting those wickets beforehand, so that way if the service member waits until their seventh month mark to say, please, can I participate, and there are things that the commanding officer needed from that service member beforehand, but there's no time for that service member to bang out those wickets, they're going to get a no. So definitely engage your chain of command early on. Let the commanding officer know if there's a question why this is important, right? So SkillBridge, the purpose of SkillBridge is to upskill or retrain service members. So a service member technically is not supposed to be approved to participate in a SkillBridge opportunity if they're just going to take their already existing knowledge and experience and go right into an internship to do the same thing. There's no upskilling or retraining there, right? So if you're a junior system administrator, you can utilize SkillBridge to be turned into a senior system administrator, right? That's upskilling. Or companies can take a Navy cook and teach them how to be a cyber analyst, right? That's retraining. But it should not be equal. There should be some growth professionally and knowledge wise.
And
The other
is there a time frame, Dave, when you can be approved for SkillBridge versus when you cannot be, or is that part of it?
It is, yes. And so each branch, again, they have their own instructions. I believe most of them are saying that service members shouldn't even request SkillBridge more than 12 months out from separation or retirement.
Interesting.
So if a service member is, 12 months from starting SkillBridge, which potentially would be their 18-month mark from separation or retirement, that's still too early. So they need to be within their 1 year mark
Interesting.
to
Okay.
even request that.
Good to know.
The other thing that service members can do is start turning over their primary and collateral duties early enough to where they're still there to support their replacement. So the Army is the only branch on paper that says if the commanding officer reaches back to Big Army and says, I'm letting this, for instance, tank driver go do SkillBridge, Big Army, please send me a replacement soldier. On paper, that's available. I've never seen that actually executed though. So as a blanket statement, commands are having to do the work of 10 people with 9 people whenever they let people to go do SkillBridge. So showing your commanding officer that the work can be done well at a high proficiency without you really having anything to do with it is going to be important. If the commanding officer thinks that your job is not going to somebody who's capable of handling it, or people just don't understand, or whatever the case may be, they're not going to fail. They're not going to let the command fail. They're going to keep you. They're going to keep the service member there because the readiness of the unit is more important to the commanding officer than letting you go do SkillBridge. So well in advance, start turning over your primary and collateral duties, and then be there to support those people, right? Attend those meetings. Once you've already turned over the reins, attend those meetings, do those, projects that you once had to do, and support that new representative. So that way, if there's anything that could go astray, the service member who was doing it is right there to make sure that everything is perfect, right? So really that hands-on training approach from service member to service member to ensure nothing falls through the cracks, right? Giving that commanding officer a warm, a warm feeling inside that they can survive and they can thrive without you there, right? A lot of times in the military, we're taught, you got to separate yourselves from your peers, right? You get ranked and evaluated against your peers, and so we're all trying to hold on and be like the one of one who knows something, right? But it doesn't benefit anybody. And so especially in this situation, you don't want to be the one of one. You want to share what you know, what you do with everybody, so that way you can force replicate yourself and make it easier for the commanding officer to approve your request.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. Work yourself out of a job, right? Essentially. No, that's great advice and insight. So, I've heard you say in the Transition 30 calls, talk about, not all SkillBridge programs are created equal. So what would you say to those service members that, are looking for opportunities? What are maybe some red flags, or diamonds in the rough, if you will, to find the best opportunities for them?
So you're speaking about it from a company standpoint.
Oh, well, from the service member standpoint, like when they're looking for roles,
Right.
I've heard some horror stories from service members.
Yeah.
They get some horrible opportunities, unfortunately. So what are some things that they can do to ensure their success in finding a good organization and a good experience?
So figuring out what they want to do and where they want to live early on is going to be key. Recruiters cannot, and most of them will not, help a service member that says, I can do anything and I'm willing to live anywhere. Companies want to make a long-term investment in the service member that they're about to bring on for SkillBridge. They don't want to train somebody and then have that person not accept a full-time job, or accept a full-time job for only a couple months and then leave, because now they're back to square one. Now they've got to do the same thing. They want to reap the benefits of the training that they're providing. So first thing first, service members should first figure out what they want to do and where they want to live. From there, running keyword searches on the SkillBridge locations page to narrow down which organizations have told the DoD we may be able to offer these kind of opportunities. And so the service member should never, ever, ever put all of their eggs into one company's basket. That's probably one of the worst things that they can do, because if you apply to one opportunity, you could get one opportunity or you can get nothing. But if you apply to 10 opportunities or 10 companies,
Mhm.
maybe 7 of them call you back and maybe 4 of them give you an opportunity. And that keeps the service member in the driver's seat and allows them to choose which opportunities are best for them and their family. So running the keyword search, we've got something like 4,300, 4,200 approved companies right now. Imagine a service member going line by line. Do you have something for me, company A? No. Do you have something for me, company B? Like, it'll take them forever to get through that list. And every week, every Friday, the SKILLBRIDGE website is updated. And so every week, new companies are being added. And so I think service members should be running their keyword searches weekly, because who they find today, there hopefully are going to be more companies. What is this, Tuesday? Next Tuesday, there should be more companies offering them, the same kind of opportunities.
Mhm.
So reach out to all of those program managers, all those SKILLBRIDGE program managers. The majority of company points of contact for their SKILLBRIDGE program are listed on the SKILLBRIDGE locations page. Reach out to all of them. Find out about their company, find out about their SKILLBRIDGE program. It is not taboo or something that a service member should shy away from to ask about their SKILLBRIDGE program. How many members are you putting through? How many are you offering
Mhm.
jobs to? That's a very pointed question that a service member should feel comfortable asking, and that a company should feel comfortable answering. So the DoD, and this isn't written anywhere, but this is just through word of mouth. In the DoD instruction, it states high likelihood of follow-on employment or job offer, excuse me. That high likelihood converts to 85% or greater. So no company would ever participate if they had to guarantee employment up front, but the high likelihood means that the company does expect to hire the service member, provided they're a good company fit, cultural fit, they're smart enough, and they're not a security issue. So asking those pointed questions, how many service members did you bring on last year versus how many did you offer jobs to, is a very appropriate question. See if they will share with you some service members that have gone through their program, so
Yeah.
that way service members can hold informational interviews with those people. Find out what it was like for them, right?
Mhm.
What is it going to be like for you going through the program? And the best way for you to find that out is to talk to somebody who's been in your shoes just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Holding those
And
informational interviews is going to be
yeah.
critical.
And Dave, I'm going to interject on that, because I just had a friend of mine that in my industry, so in the financial services industry, there's some firms that have a SkillBridge program, and he was thoroughly disenchanted with the whole program, because what it ended up being, he said, is they kind of put you through some training, but then they kind of left you alone. And he said it wasn't at all what I was expecting. And I hear that quite often. I think that's probably what Keith was alluding to, is that you get into this program. So are there like, outside of those informational interviews, are there reviews of that are posted, or is the informational interview kind of the only way to really find out, check behind the curtain on a SkillBridge program and make sure it's a good fit for you?
Yeah, so the DoD SkillBridge Community of Practice group, right? That's all we talk about is SkillBridge. And so I
Perfect.
invite a lot of SkillBridge alumni who have participated to come share their stories with our members. I ask members who are actively participating in SkillBridge, update us. Who are they SkillBridging with? What does it look like, right? Every service member, or most service members, are required to receive a training plan before they start SkillBridge. And so is the company following that training plan? Are they, living in such situations that you just mentioned with that other company? They gave them a little bit of training and then they're kind of left to themselves, and it's self-paced and not very beneficial.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely leverage social media, right? Ask people who has SkillBridge with company ABC, who has been
Yep.
a system administrator with a defense contracting company. What does success look like? Leveraging the SkillBridge group on LinkedIn. There is a SkillBridge group on Facebook. Just be careful there. There's a lot of bad information in there. There's a gentleman, he's an Air Force guy. I want to say his name is Ethan Ship. Ethan has started, and it's the only one that I know of, the only SkillBridge review page, and he's doing it by
Interesting.
hand. And I'm not IT smart at all, right? So he's probably very IT smart and something with you know the IP services and whatever else, but he is basically able to sift through and filter the reviews that people are leaving on there, and know, you know, which ones are legit and which ones aren't. So again, this isn't DoD official, but I'm really glad that somebody started the ball to get this done. I don't know where he's at as far as growth goes, but I know when it first came out, maybe around Halloween, maybe a little bit before, you know, in 2023. I know it picked up quick. I know it picked up quick. A lot of service members were very appreciative of it. I know a lot of reviews, you know, started pouring in very quickly. And so again, not an official channel, but a good starting place to see. So that's another one. SKILLBRIDGE groups. What else? Yeah, informational interviews. Those are going to be the best ones, right? Getting started with the process early definitely helps things out, right? Even if a service member knew what it is they wanted to do and where they wanted to live, most companies cannot take an email from somebody when they're at their 6-month mark and be like, okay, I'm here. What do you got for me? You know, I can start SKILLBRIDGE tomorrow. Like, you've got to start. You got to do the networking thing. You've got to learn about the company, right? Because not all companies do the same thing. You could be a system administrator with one defense contracting company. A different defense contracting company is going to have you do the same job differently. So you want to learn what it's like to be in the shoes with that company. So all of it, you know, networking is going to be huge.
Yeah.
That's great. I don't know how much time we have left. If I have time for at least one more question, Todd, or
Yeah. We got
all right.
about 5 or 10 more minutes. So
Okay, great. So, and this may even get a little not off topic, I don't want to say, but so, you know, because I run the SKILLBRIDGE program for my agency, and one of the things I've recently kind of discovered working with some hiring managers is the hiring managers come to me and they've been like these service members, like we're their resumes are you know, and if we do interview them, they're like, we had one that's wearing sweatpants in the interview, another one, their kids sitting on their lap while they're interviewing. Like, what advice would you give to these service members and how they should treat this process to increase? Because it's still competitive, right? And, you know, at least in my agency, you know, we've got 20, 50, 100 people sometimes applying for some of these openings.
Absolutely, yeah. And so service members should treat this like a job interview, because basically, with the high likelihood of being offered a job at the end, you want to put your best foot forward as a service member. And so suit and tie, dress the part, come ready to answer questions about your experience or what it is that you want to do. But definitely treat this like a professional experience, because it is exactly what you said, Keith. You know, for every one SKILLBRIDGE opportunity an organization is going to release, you're going to have multiple people. And so just because a service member submits their application to a company does not mean that they're going to be picked up. And so you always want to put your best foot forward, service members, dressing the part, acting the part, you know, really impressing the hiring manager, the program manager, and letting them know, highlighting why they should choose you out of all the other candidates. And to some extent, you know, I believe that there is the military is the only industry where a transition process is actually needed, right? You can take a dentist and turn them into a restaurant manager tomorrow. You know, there's no transition process. But with the military, we kind of walk, talk, and act a little bit differently than others, but professionalism should still be true across the board. Somebody shouldn't really need to be taught to not curse, to address people, you know, correctly by their proper name and title, you know, wear professional clothing, you know, be on time, right? Service members shouldn't have to be trained to do that. That should be second nature, right? But if that's what you're experiencing, that's unfortunate. And service members, please help each other out. I see a ton of resumes, and all of you out there have leader on your resume. Excellent. Be a leader, not only with your shop and what you're doing, but be a leader with your other service member brothers and sisters, right? Help them out. Help the ones that are going to come before you. Help out your senior folks, right? Just because they're senior to you doesn't mean that you can't shed some light, you know, and help them out, and definitely help your junior folks. Yeah, but go into it with your eyes wide open and you know, use logic.
Yeah. And Dave, I think we got time for one more question from Keith, but this is so much information, and I know you've got a lot to cover, but I'm going to have one surprise question at the end, but 30 seconds of, what's the one thing that you would recommend? But Keith, you got it. Well, one last question. We'll try to squeeze that in here.
Actually, my question is gonna be kind of open-ended, like anything that you would, closing thoughts, closing meaning, but most importantly, how and why should service members that are watching this reach out to you?
Yeah, reach out to me if you have questions about SkillBridge. Again, there's a lot of what did we call it in the Navy? Like gossip, water cooler talk, like a lot of unofficial, SkillBridge information, scuttlebutt, I think is what we called it. A
We
lot
say,
of
watch out for the barracks lawyers. Yep, 100%.
yeah. Yeah. A lot of people hear about SkillBridge and they think they know it all, and SkillBridge is so deep. So please talk to multiple people. Definitely utilize your references, right? All the references for a service member are on the resource page of the SkillBridge site. So utilize that, right? If it's in black and white and somebody in the smoke pit is telling you differently, you should probably question the information that you're being told by that person in the smoke pit, right? Start early, hit it hard, right? You want to set up as many opportunities for yourself as possible, and please, please, please chase your happiness. There are a lot of service members, right? I get it. Money makes the world go around. But there are a lot of service members who are only going to go after the jobs that they think are going to pay a lot, right? They're willing to sacrifice happiness for a paycheck. That's not a life to live. That's not the life that I want for you, right? I want you to be happy. The money will come. I got it. You've spent X amount of time in the military. You're 30 something years old and you think you're supposed to be making a certain dollar amount. I get it. But it's not worth waking up every day or 5 days a week like, I got to go to this job now. Like, you got out of the military and you could have chose to do whatever you want. Choose happiness, please. What else did I want to say about that? Happiness. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart.
It's okay. How can folks get a hold of you?
Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will drop my URL in the chat. Happy to have a conversation. Where is the chat? I gotta expand that.
Yeah, so on that, when on the show notes, I'll make sure that you and Keith and our LinkedIn URLs are in there, and I'm going to make sure that your group chat is in there. And I think the thing that I want to reinforce, Dave, is that so many of the transition service members, when they get information like this, they want to respect your time. Like when Keith and I set up this time with you, what I realized when you have your Calendly invite, it says you need to honor my time because I want to honor your time. And what I've seen from a lot of service members is they want the information, but then they don't realize that you and Keith and myself, we're taking time out of our day. We're not getting paid to do this kind of thing. It's a passion for all of us, and obviously you two are running have experience in running those programs. But when they reach out to you, I just want to reinforce that, Dave's time is valuable. Keith's time is valuable. And Keith is a big guy about a big one on, find a mentor, find 10. But don't take that mentorship for granted, I guess, is the biggest thing that I would take away from this, because the information you just shared was, just invaluable. And so if they are going to reach out to you, that would be the only thing that, because I'm not a veteran, so I feel like I can I can critique a little bit from the outside looking in. If there's one downside to all of this, is that sometimes folks just they take your time for granted. So Dave, thanks so much for jumping on the call with us. It's extremely informative. Keith, do you have anything closing thoughts you want to share?
just real quick, to not even on the off chance that we have employers listening to this and watching this, Dave can help you there as well. He helped me. It was such an amazing help to it got our agency's SkillBridge program launched in the right direction. He is such an amazing resource, and I can't thank him because he gave his time to me as well. And I, you know, the services he provides, they may not always be free, but they are so worth any penny and dollar that you may provide to him. So all that to say, yeah, he is such an amazing wealth of knowledge, and he will definitely get your program started in the right direction. So I highly encourage both sides of this coin to reach out to him. He's an amazing dude.
Thank you, Keith. I really
Awesome.
appreciate that. And service members, if there's a company that you want to do SkillBridge with that is not approved, I'm happy to help in that situation. And any companies that are out there that are SkillBridge approved, maybe you're not hitting your metrics and you want to grow the program and are unsure of how, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Well, Dave Shantz, as always, tremendous getting the opportunity to sit on the Zoom call with you. Keith, always a pleasure, man. And again, we're going to drop all the information in the show notes as far as how you can reach out to Keith and Dave or myself. And just really appreciate your time, gentlemen. Y'all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks. You too. It's good seeing you, Dave. Good seeing you, Todd.
it. Good to see you.